the shared goals and metrics across the team. So the collective setting a collective objective and metrics that all teams can track and maintain accountability clearly, and collaborative success can be measured with such definitions. And say you should promote a openness in the culture. Say encourage an open feedback. There should be regular dialogues and idea sharing across the teams. There should be should be fostering trust and culture that values the collective problem solving. Uh, Use cross-functional teams for projects. Okay, so uh, create smaller, diverse groups that representing each function to drive specific initiatives. This boosts cooperation, speeds decision making, and improves the outcome. You can see that when a new customer is coming to us, and we may not have all the features and all that together, at that time you can see that such smaller teams can really help us in executing the things better and gain and win that customer. Otherwise, it would just go into a loop, and the customer, whatever the customer requires, you won't get that output from the team. So it's better to have smaller teams as well to interact with in such cases. And so the leadership should must champion such cross-functional collaboration by rewarding cooperative behaviors, facilitating alignment, and addressing conflicts proactively. Yeah. Startups that master this cross-functional collaboration find themselves more agile, innovative, and better prepared to respond rapidly to customer needs and market demands. Greatly, it improves the chances of a successful go-to-market for such teams.
Okay, that's amazing. I mean, a lot of work there. I think my key takeaways there was firstly, build a culture of collaboration, to have common, benchmarks, right, or common metrics that everybody can track. So it's not as if, it's not very polarized, or it's not modular, or it's not, something that every individual team is working together, but there's some common metrics that everybody can see, right, in terms of customer success. So that's an amazing insight. But, despite all this, right, startups are young, and there's a culture of, systems and structures aren't really there. So tell us what's, some of the mistakes startups make, right, in their go-to-market approach, and what to do to avoid all that.
So a common mistake startups make is overestimating the market readiness and neglecting a thorough validation. That's what we see many founders do. And the founders assume their products or service will automatically resonate with customers, say without adequate testing or validating the concept before launching at scale. So you can say it typically plays out like first they skip the customer validation. They build the products on assumptions rather than a verified customer feedback. Or else in the another case is like say like there would be a diversity in the industry. Say like if you take a real estate, this one there would be construction, there would be retail sales, and all those. So it would be worth like we verify across the industry, and we tailor our solutions and specifically say these are all the solutions for us. So such market customer validation should happen, and that would help us to understand exactly in this domain in which areas we are actually giving a solution and what problems we are solving. And we should not say prematurely scale. That's the other thing the founders do, is they prematurely scale, and you will see them burning a lot of cash. They invest heavily in marketing and sales before confirming a clear demand or a market fit, a product market fit. So that's where the other issue lies. So once they skip the customer validation, and it comes to a premature scaling phase where they burn in more cash to get in more customers, and if that's going, it's not a product is not market fit, you are going to lose everything there. And also they ignore an early feedback stage. So the customer coming in, their at least their feedback should be more critical, and we should not overlook those feedbacks. So that's what is the other thing which is it. So say I can say that this all can be avoided if we have validate minimum viable product. Okay, so you'll have to first launch an MVP to gauge the market interest, test the assumptions, and gather critical customer feedback very early. Okay, and you should also conduct many customer interviews and do the pilot testing. Use a real world feedback to refine the product and messaging before a broader launch. Okay, so maybe in a beta phase and all, they should do a lot of customer discovery, and the iterative approaches should be there. So you should continuously iterate on the feedback, should maintain agility rather than rushing to scale prematurely. So once you feel that yeah, it's a product is market fit, then you can burn the cash and you can achieve the heights. Otherwise, like it's all getting burned down the market.
Yeah, I think you bring such a valid point, Binoy, because I think a lot of the founders are also under pressure from the investors, right? Because typically Series A, till you come to that, right? There's a lot of pressure to sort of perform, and in the midst, and I must confess, I was sharing the stage once with at an international conference, and I was then the head of a retail bank. And one of the problems we were having, convincing the board is a return on investment, right? Because, digital banks were being launched. And so there's a lot of hype, but sometimes it takes time for the markets to pick up, and here I was saying that one should be looking at a return on investment. And I had another founder from a startup, and the person there just said, look, we have to burn cash, and because if we don't ramp up, our investors will sort of question us on the growth, etc. So you bring out such a, I think when the ownership is there in terms of the founder having a larger stake, and he can manage all the stakeholders around, saying that, look, let's get this tested first properly and before we ramp up, right? So amazing point you break up, but I don't know how much of it, because if you look at it, right, what I read in the papers is the amount of cash a Zepto or a Blinkit or whatever, they're just burning every day. And it's a question of who's burning more, right? So the game there apparently is you build a larger customer base and change behavior, and then hopefully the revenue will come, right? But you brought out some very, very critical points of customer validation and making sure that there's acceptance before ramping up. So thank you so much for that. And one of the things I've been hearing you say constantly is look at the data, look at the metrics, shared collaboration, and common goals, right? So I can see you're highlighting this data-driven approach to decision making. So what metrics do you suggest to startup founders to track closely their go-to-market phase?
So the startup founders should closely track some key metrics during their go-to-market phase, and ensure that their decisions are data-driven. Okay, so say one is the customer acquisition cost, which you call it as a CAC. How much it costs to acquire each new customer. Okay, so it is essential to understand the efficiency and the sustainability of a marketing and sales effort through this metric. So that's where the customer acquisition cost is very important for us. Next is the conversion rate. The conversion rate, we see the percentage of leads that turn into the paying customers. So if for SaaS, it's around 3 to 5% is what gets converted. Okay, so this would help evaluate the effectiveness of messaging, positioning, and the sales process. So we should be very careful that at least say if you're a SaaS industry, that industry standard of say 3 to 5% should be achieved, or else like we are lagging somewhere in the effectiveness of messaging and positioning and maybe the sales process itself. So we should be very careful of that particular metric. And The other one is the customer lifetime value. So the total revenue you expect from a single customer or their relationship with your startup. That's very important. So it guides decision around marketing budgets basically. So you'll have to do a marketing based on the customer life value. That's how you. That's the main metric for when you go for the budgeting of your marketing. The product development and the long-term growth strategies all depend on the customer lifetime value. So that's very important metric which the startup founder should be always looking at. And the churn rate. Okay, so like unless say like for other products like cars, the customer would return say around after 7 years or say 8 years. So that's a different ballgame. But in SaaS, you would see like we are on a monthly recurring. So if the churn rates become high, you would see that it indicates an say product is not market fit or the customer satisfaction is going down. And so, so the churn rate, it gives a signal of a deeper issue. Okay, so you would see like he's there for us for 3 months and he has quit. And so that would bring down your revenue as well. And rather the revenue, you should be more saying that the product itself has some issues which you will have to look in if the churn rate is high. You can go for a 2% churn rate in SaaS and not more than that. Like say some products, say due to their operationalizing or some seasonal usage of the product, you have up to 6%. But it should not go more than that. That should be very, it's a important metric to be checked. Okay. So other is the monthly recurring revenue, so or the annual recurring revenue. So that's where there should be a steady revenue is getting generated only when these two metrics are very say very clear on the startup the founder should be having this thing on a fingertip. Okay, so this reflects the predictable income, okay, helping you to say manage the cash flow and the growth planning. Okay, so if there is no cash flow, we would simply crash in a business, let it be anything. So for the cash flow, this is very important, the monthly recurring revenue and annual recurring revenue. And this metric should be very highly checked out. And so internally now inside the product, we do a lot of engagement and activation metrics is what we look for more. How much the customer is engaging in the product. So whether he is using all the products on say like what time he comes and checks the order and all those things. So that would actually say help us know the stickiness of the customer with the product. So you say if he's usually going to use in say one day or a month, then that needs to be checked. So we should be continuously checking on like whether he is engaging all the features, or and if he's not knowing about a particular feature, then we should actually go and say like uh, do the webinars and educate the customer to have that used. And this all is driven by these two engagement and activation metrics. So that's another thing. So the final is the net promoter score on the customer satisfaction score. Okay, so that would say like it shows the satisfaction and likelihood, like they will recommend our product to their fellow business people or not. But yeah, the high scores say it shows the customer loyalty, the organic growth, and the positive word of mouth. So other than burning our cash, yeah, this would actually help us to grow organically. And so the founder should be consistently tracking all these metrics, and that would make them very comfortable in their stride forward.
Superb. So I think, from customer value to acceptance rate to churn rate to recurring revenue, right? That's and you have a whole list there, which is very, very good, right? And we're going to come back to this, but till then, let's just take a few seconds break and we'll be back to the next part of the show. Are you a leader who's looking forward to actually grow into a very senior role? Maybe you'd like to be a global CXO, right? Which basically means if you're aspiring to become a CTO, a CIO, a CDO, a CISO, a chief operating officer, a CMO, a CFO, or any other C suite role, then you shouldn't be missing this opportunity. Because what has got you here till today, wherever you are, is not going to get you to those senior level roles. You know why? Because the skills are completely different. What might have got you here is hard work and technical skills, but that alone is not going to get you to the next level, right? So, what you need to build is a whole basket of leadership and CXO skills. And what is that, you may ask, right? It could be executive presence, executive communication, stakeholder management, networking at a senior level, learning to handle conflict, learning to handle politics. All those skills are required when you want to get to that level. I'm planning a physical event in Bangalore. Mark your calendar, it's on May 3rd. But before that, we're going to have 5 days where we're actually going to be mentoring you and giving you quizzes and preparing you for what is to come on the 6th day, which is May 3rd, Bangalore. So what I want you to do is, without wasting any time, click on the link below and book your ticket right away, because I can tell you, as it fills up, the ticket prices are going to go up. So don't miss this opportunity. Click, buy your ticket, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Hi, I'm Muditsaxena. I'm a global CXO leadership coach. I work with leaders across the country, and I've impacted thousands of leaders across the world. In our community, people have become CEOs, people have become CXOs. Many people earn more than 1 CR. People have got 100% jump. People have got, within the company, they've got jumps. So whether it's a salary increase, a promotion, you name it, you're going to find it in my community. And that's why I want you to welcome you to come in here. And I want you to build your network so that you are able to get opportunities which are not readily advertised. So come here, build your network, learn from the best, and I hope to see you in Bangalore on May 3rd. Take care till we meet again. Okay, as we come back, to the next part, I'm just going to invite all of you who are watching. I think you've seen all the details there. We really have, some great leaders coming in, and of course, we're going to see Binoy and everybody there from the community. So look forward to seeing you guys there on May 3rd and 4th. But to come back to this podcast, you talked in one of your, when you were talking about all these metrics, right? You talked about recurring revenue and things like that, right? So which is very SaaS, let's say, driven, right? So tell us a little bit, with your extensive experience in SaaS and technology, what particular challenges do SaaS startups face during their go-to-market phase compared to, other types of startups?
So, the SaaS startups, they encounter some unique challenges during their go-to-market phase compared to other type of businesses. So, one is, SaaS demonstrating the immediate value. Okay, so SaaS solutions typically offer the intangible benefit that can be harder to visualize. Okay, so say when you say like you can have a quick customer adoption. Okay, so earlier, say before SaaS, like it should be like we should have a data center, and then is the next step is like creating a product, then the customer acquisition. When in the SaaS industry, you can see that that's it's just 2 steps rather than 3 steps earlier. So that demonstrating that immediate value to the customer, it's a challenge currently. And say the customer acquisition cost in the SaaS market, it's pretty crowded these days, and they are driving up the marketing and sales expenses heavily. Okay, so the CAC should be managed well, effectively against some well-established competitors. You have competitors, great competitors who may be making above, say, 1 billion or 18 billion or so, and they just burn off the market with high, even the click rates become very high, and it becomes very difficult. So the other is the customer retention and churn. So the SaaS businesses, they rely heavily on the recurring revenue, and there are heavy challenges to keeping your churn rate low through the continuous delivery and engagement. So we should be continuously engaging the customers to reduce this churn rates, and that would help a lot. So SaaS literally depends on that. And the long sales cycles is what the other problem we see, especially in a B2B SaaS. Customer often require demo, trials, approvals, and integrations with other products before committing to buy our products. That's the other challenge. So this drives up the cost for acquisition of the customers and could impact our cash flow because of this extended sales process. So we should be very, um, uh, say, like very careful of getting into long sales cycles. Okay, so sometimes it's better we drop off in an early stage. We may not have such a cash flow to have a sales process going, say, about 6 months or so. That should be shot down literally. Otherwise, it's a problem on the cash flow for us. And scaling the infrastructure effectively, that's the other problem with the SaaS startups, where they must balance the rapid growth with maintaining a reliable infrastructure and customer support. So that's the other challenge, scaling the technology and operations without compromising the performance during the scaling part. That should be very much looked into. The operations must be very clear, and it should be able to scale. Maybe nowadays with the AIs and all coming for supports and sale, yeah, to an extent, this can be managed now. Yeah. So without the help of those tools and AI tools and those, it would have been very. You will have to continuously hire the people, scale the operations, and the employee training and all becomes a challenge. And it should be very SaaS should be very careful in this area. And the product adoption and onboarding. So users need an intuitive onboarding process to realize the value quickly. Okay, so you would see a lot of highlighting and all those things are coming into the product once they check in. This is say, like, you should be developing a seamless, user-friendly onboarding experience to reduce the initial friction. Okay, so the initial friction, they should be able to easily sign up and come, and they should be able to use the product without much hassle. Maybe providing some demo data would also help them to check, rather than they going to input the data and all. So the onboarding process is a very important process, wherein like any acquired customers should able to say come in and experience seamlessly all the features. They should be able to explore everything, and that would help them for a quick win. The sales cycle reduces, say, like whatever takes 1 month would be taking only 3 days or 2 days in that case. So, and the other important part in the today's world is the data privacy and compliance. Okay, so the SaaS startups must handle the customer data responsibly, and they have to adhere to different regulation in different geographic areas. Say GDPR in one place, or DPA in another place, and there are other this thing, say for health you have HIPAA, and this is ensuring the compliance um, is very important. It should not hamper the we should not overburden the resources, and also it should not slow down the innovation in the product development. So these are some of the things which is unique to SaaS specific. Nowadays startups can build a sustainable growth trajectory and stand out into a very highly competitive digital space. These all are required to be adhered to.
Okay, superb, Binoy. So, you've clearly shown us the difference between, the challenges, right, between SaaS companies and, non-SaaS companies. And tell me, there's a lot of excitement, right, when you launch a particular product, everybody's revved up and you take it to a certain level, right? And then the moment markets become in the sense that you start making money, right? You attract a lot of competitors in any market, right? So you may be new and first in some area, and then you have competition sort of following and new entrants, depending on how low the barriers to entry are, right? So how does a startup sort of continue to ramp up, and retain their customer base? Because anyone who comes new, right, the normal strategy is when you're second and third in the market, first go to the biggest competitor and try and cut on price and, try some way to break the stronghold, right? So what would you advise? How does a successful SaaS startup, even continue to grow?
Yeah. So I don't think the price and all other things should be looked into here to scale, actually. So post the initial launch, we should look for the consistent customer engagement, basically. So you'll have to maintain regular, meaningful communication through emails or newsletters, product updates, and the educational content. That's more important. The customer engagement is should be brand relevant, and it reinforces the customer relationship as well. Okay, so we need him to be sticky with us. That's very important. So the first is the customer engagement is what we should be looking at. Okay, so the newsletters and whatsoever is the means of communication with them. It should be very strictly taken up. Okay, and the other is the excellent customer support. That's where many of the say the customers have a problem. Okay, so we should be very responsive. Okay, so if we are going on a chat or if you are on a call, rather than putting them in a queue and letting them know that they are very important and they are in queue number 16, that won't work out, actually. So okay, so we should be very responsive, and I think now the say AI helps us in getting connected with them and offer solutions to them. So there should be a proactive support, and it's just we should be it's not that just we attended a call. We should be able to solve their problem and delete them. That's where a positive support experience, it can lead directly to high retention and a good customer advocacy. Okay, so you can see a lot of organic growth if this area gets better. And the other is the customer success program. Okay, so you have to invest in helping your customers achieve their goals through onboarding app, training webinars, and personalized check-ins. Okay, so all things are very important. The customer who achieve their desired outcomes are far less likely to leave us. Okay, so churn. Okay, so they will be with us for long if we could execute that successfully. And the other thing is the continuous product improvement. Okay, so our customers will also be growing and their requirements will also be growing. So it's important for us to have a continuous product development and deliver the features and the customer problems to be solved. So that's very important for us. And we should be running the loyalty and referral program. So if all of our customer engagement activities are very good and it's all scaling up, then we should be having the loyalty and the referral programs run. It would help us leverage this relationship with our customer and drive our growth. Okay, and the other is the community building. Okay, so we should have a community page and the social groups and exclusive events done. Okay, strong community, it helps enhance the customer stickiness and organically build advocacy. It's basically where they get heard and their problems get solved, and they will see people with a similar problem out there in this community forums, and they share their experiences as well and find a solution rather than every time the founder itself going for the solution. This community building is very important for the startups. And the other is personalization and data-driven engagement. Okay. So the personalization for customers, it would increase the perceived value of that product and it strengthens the customer relationship. Okay, that's where we should be having extendable platforms in our product. So whenever a customer comes with a problem, okay, it may not be the problem for all. Okay, so he should be able to solve his particular problem with that particular platform changes. Okay, so he would feel it's more personalized for him from the founder, and he would be very happy to be sticking with that, because if he moves to another product, he will have to rediscover all these things. So rather, he would be pretty happy, and if all other things are satisfactory, he would continue with us. And so these are some of the strategies we should ensure the startups they can create say the can say the retention can be improved with this, the advocacy and the growth, and extending customer lifetime value, and building a strong and excellent business. I think depends on this customer centric features. This is what is my take on it. I will not go for the pricing or any brand color or anything. This is what mostly I advocate.
Okay, super, Binoy. You mentioned something, you talked about AI, right? And that's the hottest buzzword. And there's so much technology coming in, etc., right? How would you advise startups to, keep their go-to-market strategies adaptable and resilient? I mean, it's constant change, right? So much is happening. And, one new technology comes in, and I think there's, ChatGPT was, let's say, for example, really the hottest thing going till DeepSeek came and, just challenged everybody in terms of, how low, I mean, how little do you need? It sort of reminded me of our space programs, NASA vis-a-vis what ISRO does, right? The same thing is done at such a more economical price. And so tell me a little bit, how do you advise? I mean, I know startups are agile, but how do they keep being resilient and adaptable, amongst all this constant change?
Yeah, so I would initially say the first point is stay customer centric and feedback driven. Okay, so tech and other things, it will be keep coming, and say you'll see blockchain, AI, and many other things coming up, the chat GPT and all. But at the end of the day, a customer would want the problem to be solved. Let that be with anything. Okay, so we should be continuously going with the customer centric. And yes, if a newer or tech can solve any of the problem, we should ensure that that is going to the customer, and he should be able to solve his problem with that. But we should not go for the fancy one and give something to the customer which may not work for him. Okay, so the customer problem is the one which we should be strictly looking into, and not into the tech is my first take, because we have been through many of these transitions, and many of the products have come, and you can see like the customer only uses what can solve a problem for him. That's what. So you should be very centric with the customer there. And there should be a flexible and modular roadmap with the founder. He should prioritize some agile methodologies and incremental improvements over rigid and long-term plans. Okay, so we should be say agile with the things. You should be able to pivot immediately. So if when ChatGPT has come, and with that, if some solution is to be some problem can be solved by a customer, rather than say, oh, I have a roadmap now, maybe after 1 year we can have this ChatGPT thing added to our product. So you should able to quickly pivot and add that particular technology to be given to the customer, so that he can solve his problem. So we should not be very rigid with our roadmaps. That's very important. And there should be an experimental mindset. Okay, so say like regularly you should be testing new approaches, marketing channels or technology through the controlled experiments. Okay, so we should be able to do quicker and smaller experiments and see the results. By that, we can say like it's a good learning for the team, and it mitigates the risk before it gets too bigger. Okay, so other is invest in continuous learning and industry awareness. That this equips the startups with insights necessary to anticipate and capitalize on changes, rather than reacting passively to the things. Encourage a cross-functional agility, as we have discussed earlier. Like it create an internal resilience, facilitating a quicker and unified response to market dynamics. So that the cross-functional things are very important when we take on to the market. And say the decisions should be data driven, basically. So it should be timely and say evidence based and strategically sound, and it should not be based on perceptions. And that is very important. So people go with perception sometimes, and sometimes if 5% they get the results through, but it's difficult. Yeah. So for newer technology, I think we should be always going for partnerships and others say. This would help us to help the startup to remain a cutting edge one while maintaining a financial and operational sustainability. You can't say like LLM. Okay, so LLM has come. Should I go for my own LLM, or should I go for ChatGPT or Bard or Olama or whatever? So in this case, it's better to always accept any of the existing LLMs APIs and integrate and get your results, rather than going down and say like start up your own LLM from the scratch. So these all things, I think by embracing these strategies, the startup can maintain agility, and they can proactively navigate the change. They can ensure a very good go-to-market strategy, and remain robust and adaptable. That's what I can say.
Okay, amazing. I mean, it's glad to hear a tech person like talk about customer centricity, customer acceptance, not to get distracted by technology, but to focus on, real life things, right? In terms of what the reality is. And let me ask you, because, when I look back, you've got so many patents, right? Which are there. It's amazing to see when I go back to your growth, right? You've got patents which are accepted, and you've got patents which are, currently in place to get accepted, right? So on one side, you've got all this high-tech stuff, right? And now you're working as a director of product management, right? What do you bring with this deep technology, background that you have, right? How do you use all this to integrate with all the emerging technology and, for a startup?
Okay. Say there should be a measured approach in this particular area. So we should clearly define the objectives first. Okay. We should identify a specific business problem, and then we should start with focused use cases, because this would avoid the resource wastage on a trendy tech without clear roadmap. Okay. And the other is we should we should start small and scale say incrementally. Okay, so the pilot projects or POCs before the full scale adoption should be a major point here. And we should validate value and check the feasibility in a controlled environment. Okay, this would help us reduce the risk and limit the resource drain. Okay, so other is leveraging the cloud and managed services. Okay, so you utilize cloud-based AI and ML, quantum environments and data analytics tools to access advanced technology affordably. Okay, so earlier like it used to be like we have to set up the environment all of our own. Now we should utilize this cloud this thing for so get the advanced technology in. Okay, it would help to minimize the infrastructure and upfront investment. It provides flexibility and cost control. Okay, so other is the prioritizing the technology. Okay, so we should first go for investing in a technology which would solve our customers' problem, and which should improve the customer satisfaction, retention, and acquisition. So that's very important. So yeah. Other is fostering partnership and collaboration. As such, we have discussed that particular area. So the resource sharing burden is reduced, and we can accelerate our innovations and give a meaningful solution to the customers. Okay, so other thing is upskilling the team strategically. That's the very important area. The team should be continuously upskilling themselves, and all the knowledge gaps should be bridged regularly. Okay, so and we should see that our team is always on say war footing, so they should be ready with all the questions from the customers. They should be able to identify the customer's area of problems and all those things. So this all comes with say the continuously we'll have to evaluate the technology effectiveness and the customer impact, and pivoting wherever it's needed. And it should not be taking on a very rigid stance in this area. Yeah, that's what is.
Okay.
Mudit.
It's so exciting to hear that somebody with such a strong tech background still talks about solving customer problems, and says that, look, unless something is solving a customer problem, there's no point really using all the technology, right? So superb, great. And before we continue to the last section, let's just take a few seconds break, and then we get back. Are you a mid-career leader who's just been wondering when you're going to get that break, when you're going to get to those senior CXO levels or senior leadership roles in your company? Well, it's time to stop waiting and start taking action. The first thing you can do is to sign up below for the Global CXO Accelerator Summit that's happening in Bangalore on May 3rd and 4th. Why, you may ask? Because we are getting the world's best down here for you so that you can learn from their journeys, ask them questions live, and figure out what's stopping you from getting to those senior levels. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've got leaders coming in from Silicon Valley, we've got the leaders from India, and they're all here to support you. It doesn't matter whether you're in IT or finance or consulting or operations or production, because these leaders have all the answers. You must realize that after a certain time, it's leadership skills that take you ahead. So sign up below for our summit on May 3rd and 4th, and I'll see you then. Okay, great. As we get into our final stretch and of questions, let's just go back, right? You've talked about so many things: product, customer, churn rates, conversion rates, acceptance rates, AI, this, that, right? Let's just try and summarize it. Having worked, what do you think is really the secret ingredient or the single most important factor in a successful go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so the single most critical factor, I would say, it's again the customer centric. You have a secret ingredient there, right? So okay, so it is an deep and an authentic customer empathy is what I see. So with this, you can understand the customer profoundly, knowing their motivation, pain points, their desires, their expectations, positions. That would help you position your startup uniquely. Okay, so the empathy allows us to build a product, a clean crafting message, and also you can the price setting also falls in place if you have a good empathy. Okay, and the distribution channels can also be easily identified with that. That's what I see, that empathy transforms a go-to-market strategy from say mere execution into a meaningful connection. So customer empathy is everything, and the founders should have more empathy, and also we should have a team which resonates this particular say ingredient. That would be the best one for our say like for the startup.
Great. So customer centricity, customer empathy, just keeping in tune with them so that if that works, then you have a business. Customers are primary, right, for business. So fantastic. And tell me, if there's one piece of advice that you would like to give startup founders now, based on everything that you've learned, right? You've worked for so long in this space, what would it be?
So I would say like you should fall in love with the problem which we are solving and not the product itself. Okay. I think initially also I mentioned this, and I would reiterate on that particular aspect. The most resilient and the successful startups are those that stay relentlessly focused on solving a real meaningful problem for their customers. Okay. Uh, Product, the markets, and the technologies may change, but if you are obsessed with the understanding and the problem of the customer, you will always stay relevant. That's what we have seen. Okay, so maybe we started, many of them would have started with VB, and then they moved to say like C++ and then Java, and so now we have more React and all those things. So the technology changed, but see, end of day, for you to be relevant, it's not the technology what we are using, it's the customer problem what we are solving. And I would say like every say a startup founder should fall in love with the problem they are solving and not the product or any tech. That's all.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I mean, coming from a tech guy, that's even more refreshing, right? So everything should be geared to, solving a particular customer problem and customer empathy. I mean, I heard so much of that, over the last hour, right? So what I'm going to do now is if any of, let's say, the people on the show right now, if you have a question to ask, maybe you can do that right now. Anybody, just put it in the chat and I'll take it from there. Okay, as they come up, right? I mean, again, Binoy, it's such a proud moment to have you as part of our community, and you've got this book sale going, and it's amazing. How long did it take you? Let's just ask something on a more personal level. How long did it take you to put this book together? And
Yeah, it took around say 1.5 years or so. Yeah, so initially we had a chapter, then reiterate, a lot of reiteration, and that's where it's now. Yeah.
okay, amazing. So 1.5 years of laboring this through, right?
Yeah. So initially, like when you said like you'll have to be a 5 a.m. guy. Okay. So I took that. So you'll have to have 2 or 3 points written down. Yeah. Okay. Done. That's done. And in this, I would include it, and say by 8 p.m. I would check whether any of these points are left, and I would surely have this book out, because on the whole of the day, we go with the work we have, and most of the time is spent on that. And okay, 8 p.m. we check, okay, so this is out. So again, sit with that for a hour, then do the work, and then that's how it actually shaped up. So thank you for all those advices. So otherwise, like it was okay. I get up early, and yeah, all things are there, but most of the time it goes away with the work takes it up. So that was slightly controlled there. So maybe an hour or so for this book as well was helpful.
Superb, superb. Thank you so much for implementing. Like we always say, the magic is in the students, not the teacher, because unless you implement and you do that, and you're, it's amazing to see what you've gone in and done and implemented. And despite being such a senior leader, right, you're a director of product management at Zoho, which is an amazing company. It's something that all Indians are very proud of, right? So here's some questions from the audience, right? So the first one that I can see here is from Uma, which says, "Is your book tech GTM centric, or is it?"
Yeah, it's not. The GTM can always be customer centric, is what we see. Tech, you can always check out how it can solve a customer's problem. But you can't go take a tech and say this is my go-to market strategy. Being too techy, yeah, it should be there. But when you show a customer face, like especially when you're going to the market, then you should be only going for solving the customer's problem. We can sell a tech, we can sell a solution to the problem. That's main thing.
Yeah. Great, thank you. And Santosh is asking how to build leadership skills.
How to that's Mudit is the best. I think that question is for you. It's not for me.
Okay, okay, don't worry. This is you're the hero today, so we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Santosh, thanks for I know you've just joined the community, and thank you so much. Let me acknowledge that. And I think you've yet to get started with the program. So I think it was just yesterday or day before. I think on Thursday, right? So don't worry. There's lots coming on that. Okay, so just hold your horses there. And Sachin would like to know, how would you describe a B2B high-tech product GTM strategy as compared to SaaS, right? What's the difference?
I don't see much difference there. Tech we can avoid. Yeah, B2B is a segment. There is no see. The solution to the problem is what is more important here, Sachin. So we should be focused on the problem of the customer and how we are solving it. It doesn't matter what tech you are going to give him. Okay, so you are going to have an Angular front end or a Ember front end, doesn't matter to the customer. He would like to see how his problem is getting solved, how he is able to say generate an invoice, or say how he is able to see his sales data or something. That matters to him. And we should have a very good intuitive UI and all those things. And rather than say high tech, I would just put it down. High tech can be at a server end or anything, but when you are taking it to the customer, it should be it should be any tech, and it should solve his problem. That matters to him, and that only saves the product. So many of these startups, they feel like, okay, I am a very high tech product. That doesn't matter to the customer. The customer would always look at his problems are solved or not. And if an high tech can solve his problem, yes, fine, you are going to be a very big hit. That's what I would like to say on this.
Okay, great. So Arunachalam wants to know, how do you create a balance between tech and management?
Yeah, so that's where I was saying about the cross-functional importance. Okay, so we should be say like communicating much of the things. So okay, see, the team should be collaborative. The support, maybe the interface with the existing customer, and the sales, say, or the pre-sales would be interfacing with the new customers, and they would be asking. They would be talking to these two groups about the problems, and this should be communicated to the tech team as well. So tech team should not live in a silo. So they should be aware of what the customer is asking in the market, and the tech leader should have a very clear thoughts on how to solve this problem. Maybe bringing in a new tech, or like going with the existing one. And that's very important. The communication between these cross-functional teams would help to create a balance. Otherwise, you will be off balance. The tech will be on one side, and the customer-facing teams will be on the other side. Nothing gets communicated to tech, and they will never know what problems the customer is facing, and what needs to be given delivered next. So that problem all should be avoided. All those communication gaps should be shot down as soon as possible.
Okay, superb. And Srinivas wants to know, how do we nurture an innovation culture in a startup, and how to manage delivery and innovation at the same time, right? At the initial stage, especially.
Okay, so yeah, so initial stages, yes, we should be there should be a lot of MVPs. We would be getting onto the MVPs, and with the say, once we have the MVPs in place, we will go with the customer, check his feedback, and that's how say like we can give a proper delivery, a market fit product. So I think everything, the customer centric things should be brought in initially itself into the culture of the startup, and that would give a proper delivery, and the innovation will happen based on the feedbacks. Yeah, that's what.
Hey, great. So, Sachin asks a good, nice personal question. He says, tell us, share some of the challenges that you overcame, right? And learnings on career pivot, right? You came in from the army into tech and now product management. So, tell us, how did you manage all that? What helped you? What learnings? What errors you might have made, and how you better for it?
Yeah. So initially, I was with the mechanical branch, so there was no one to work on the computers and all those things. So we started from there, and the requirements grew very shortly. Okay, so you initially have some returns to be sent, then you needed an network, then you needed an administrator to be there, a complete LAN being put up, and all those things. And once all these things are in place, then everyone needed data quickly and insights into things so that they can be operationally on a cutting edge. So that's where there is a lot of push. So the already existing guys who are working in are moved to the next this one, so that we will have to adopt a new technology, and we will have to say Oracle was the one that was adopted there. So we started working. Earlier mainframes were there, and that was pretty difficult to get the data. So from there, it was moved to Oracle and all those. And that was, say, like post the Cargill, there was a lot of push for operational efficiency with the IT. This one. So there are a lot of push. And so the last 8 years, like we have churned out a lot of products for the operational easiness. Okay. So, and that would say like we would deploy our troops, say within another 15 minutes of any attack, or say it would be done in 5 minutes and 15 minutes for a complete end-to-end transaction to happen. You can sit in a command and connect with then say the who is on the border within say 15 minutes and get the things done. So these all there was a lot of push in the defense to get this done, and later it moved to the satellite tech and all those. So it's far we are quickly advancing, and since the requirements there are very, let's say, like it's a burning issue for us, we should be there more. That's why. So post that. So we moved to say Accenture. I was there with Accenture as a build lead there, and was delivering for the telecom giant in Australia, and also. So post that only I moved to Zoho, and luckily got a chance to build a product from the very scratch and build it up there. And now I'm transitioning to one of the flagship products for the SEA market. So that involves a lot of hyper localization to be done, and a lot of say more into like say SEA market. Anything in the SEA market, any say their privacy rules should be adhered to, their accounting. Say like in Singapore, if there is IRA, so we will have to adhere to their returns, and they are bringing in the e-invoicing, all those. Say a five-corner model is being brought in the e-invoicing part. So we are going to deliver that particular thing, and also the SFRS requirements in Singapore that needs to be addressed, and all this. So it's a totally an hyper localization work we'll have to do. So we'll have to do for the complete say 10 countries. Each of them are on a different. Say Malaysia is on VAT, and Singapore is on GST, and say Brunei doesn't have any. And so these are all challenges there in that market. So we are just transitioning on that, and maybe we'll be there in say in a month or so.
Okay. And as we come to us, let's just ask, can you tell people where can we find your book, and how can where can they just pick it up, and tell us the name again, and if you have a copy you can show it to everybody. Sorry, I just asked you without
Yeah, so it's a go-to-market strategy mastery book. Okay, so this can be found in Amazon.in and in Amazon.com as well. And you have a Kindle edition as well for this. So Kindle edition is a little bit lower priced. And if you have an unlimited Kindle reading, then it's free of cost for you on this. Yeah. So you can find me in Amazon.in. Yeah.
Okay, superb, superb. And we really wish you all the very best, Binoy. The entire community is behind you. We're all cheering for you, and I hope you're probably the first full-time author, so to speak, who's actually come out. I mean, a lot of us have done a lot of mini books here, and I'm sure your story is going to inspire, right? I mean, you are at such a senior role, so you have. And you've changed your life around. You said you get up early, but now you're more focused, and you do your job, and then you come back and write again. So fantastic. And I look forward to seeing you, just as I look forward to seeing everybody else here on May 3rd and 4th. We have the Global CXO Accelerator Summit. It's, got the finest leaders from around the world. We've got people coming in from Silicon Valley. We've got, leaders, CEOs from within India. We've got CHROs, a lot of tech leaders. So I'm just going to invite everybody. And I think the team has put the link in. And till we see you again, Binoy in Bangalore, big goodbye to everybody and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mudit. Yeah, I have booked my tickets. I will be there. Yeah. Okay, thank you all. Thank you for this.
Superb. Look forward. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Bob Sternfield, who's the CEO of McKinsey, has said it's not just India's decade, it's India's century, right? Because we are poised to become the third largest economy in the world. We are going to become a $10 trillion economy. You know what that means? It means tremendous opportunities, jobs, and senior people like you are required to fill in those jobs, right? We have a whole list of global GCCs coming into this country, and they're going to need talent like you, but you need to be ready. So the environment is there, but are you ready? Well, this is important. And to get you ready, I'm getting in the world's best to India. Okay, we have Sanjay Tandon, who's coming in from Silicon Valley. He was the senior director of Applied Materials Corporation earlier. We have Kalyani. She was the chief accounting officer for Sun Microsystems, Arista Networks, and last at Intap, a company which she was involved to getting it to the NASDAQ level, right? In India, we have Ram Kumar Narayan, who's speaking. He is currently the head of FIS for India and Philippines, and previously was the CEO of VMware in India. And of course, how can we forget Mr. Arvind Sitaraman, who is the president of Cisco, right? He'll give you a great experience on holistic leadership. And we have CHRO, like Pradipto from EMIDS. We have many other leaders. We have Kiram Iyer, who was earlier with Accenture. Now, these are people who have worked, studied, become successes all across the world. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. And that's why I'm planning a physical event in Bangalore. Mark your calendar. It's on May 3rd. But before that, we're going to have 5 days where we're actually going to be mentoring you and giving you quizzes and preparing you for what is to come on the 6th day, which is May 3rd, Bangalore. So what I want you to do is, without wasting any time, click on the link below and book your ticket right away, because I can tell you, as it fills up, the ticket prices are going to go up. So don't miss this opportunity. Click, buy your ticket, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Hi, I'm Muditsaxena. I'm a global CXO leadership coach. I work with leaders across the country, and I've impacted thousands of leaders across the world. In our community, people have become CEOs. People have become CXOs. Many people earn more than 1 CR. People have got 100% jump. People have got, within the company, they've got jumps. So whether it's a salary increase, a promotion, you name it, you're going to find it in my community. And that's why I want you to welcome you to come in here. And I want you to build your network so that you are able to get opportunities which are not readily advertised. So come here, build your network, learn from the best, and I hope to see you in Bangalore on May 3rd. Take care till we meet again. Do you want to build a network of leaders who can get you your next job? Do you want to meet with managing directors, presidents, chief accounting officers, global directors, people who have made it in life, people who have achieved the heights in corporate success? Well, if that's the network you want to bring, then I'm going to encourage you to sign up for our Global CXO Accelerator Masterclass, which is going to happen on May 3rd and May 4th. But you know what? It's actually a 7-day program. 5 days is online and 2 days live in Bangalore. So sign up below and I'll see you there at the summit. Hi, I'm Muditsaxena. I'm a global CXO leadership coach. I help leaders like you get to 1 CR plus salaries on their way to becoming a global CXO. So I can't wait to meet you there, because I brought this masterclass so that you can succeed. So if you want to succeed, sign up below and I'll see you there.